$162.
And
Come on
I
over. Come to the table.
We have one more share something.
Yeah, you can just pull up a chair or.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of great. Just over here.
My big head blocking the camera?
No, you're good.
All right, cool. How's everybody's evening?
Fine, how are you?
Doing great, thank you for asking.
So tell us all about your application.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we just wanna get some solar panels up there, so we can get some power for the house, for the home. We have specific details about the racking system that we'll be using. Let me reference the page for you. On, sheet number PV10. If you have any specific questions about that, happy to answer. We'll be doing a roof over there as well. That should have been part of the application as well. If it's not, please correct me.
The new roof,
A roof,
like replacing existing stuff or?
Right.
Okay.
yeah.
With the same materials?
These are the two houses.
You would know more about
Houses, right?
right?
So we have what's on it.
It's,
The way that the roof is on, we can't warranty it because they just silver coated it, so there's a bunch of cracks and a skylight there. So we would be replacing this roof with the same exact materials, EPDM.
Okay.
It's a rubber roofing. It's for
Can you-
flat roof.
Can you guys introduce yourselves? So we know, because you're obviously not, neither James Smith, the owner, since you have the Evo, or Stephanie Quartaro.
Colorado. Yeah,
I think there's an owner's endorsement.
these are, my secretary who files all of our permits. So we're Evolution Energy. I'm one of the owners, Ibrahim Ramadan, and, he's my partner, Jonathan. So, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks, likewise.
So you're only replacing, so Al, this is the brick building next
Alright.
to the old CNE, which has a mansard roof on the front, but with a sloping roof behind it. So you guys are only replacing the rubber on the sloping roof, right?
Correct.
So all the slate, which I'm assuming is still slate, maybe it's not, on the front, that's all undisturbed.
Not touching that.
So I think this is pretty unvisible from the public right of way. So the only real question is just where, if there's any conduit lines or any equipment that's gonna be on the exterior of the building. And where, and what will that be and where will it be?
We're fine.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the rubber roof is fine. Also, you can't see it, so.
yeah. So,
All right, so this is the ridge of the roof is here.
The ridge of the, well, there isn't really a ridge of the roof. It rolls back from the front. I mean, the ridge is parallel to the street.
All right, well, so then, if you can explain to me what we're looking at here now, I see that you're basically installing it on the back part. Is there a reason why? Just out of curiosity, what's the problem with putting any panels in the front part?
so we're installing in the front part, not the back. Yeah, that's the back. So the front part is closest to Main Street. It's got a higher elevation, so it makes more sense.
I understand.
And to answer your question about the conduit, it would come off the right side, so if you're facing the building, it would come off the right side, right directly down to the meter. That's where the meters are for the building.
And then how far forward are they? Are they sort of 2 foot from the front facade?
Oh, no, they're probably at least 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet from the front corner of the, yeah, exactly, front corner of the building. I have site survey photos too, if you'd like me to show you.
Yeah, if you can show us the photo, because it's not really included in the packet.
Yeah.
And you might actually need to email those to us to forward to the building inspector.
Yeah, geez. So, it's
You said it's on the right side?
on the right side, yeah. So I mean, look, this is where the meters are currently. You're welcome to pass it around. It's 15 feet from the front of the building.
Do you have a photo of like just the front facade of the building that shows up the building next to it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know that there's,
A Google, image would suffice in terms of like,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of where there's, if that's in an alley or if it's.
it's an alley. It's actually a tight alley. So you
Right
wouldn't see
next
the
to
conduit
it,
at all.
Oh, right, I'm thinking it's the part, it's the driveway, but yeah. Oh, yes, those are pretty tight together. Yeah, I feel like it's not.
Can I see that?
Yeah, sorry, there's a tree there, so it's not so obvious, but this is the house, the eyeglasses, right? That's the stairs to the next house, so I'd like to see more than just this, but it appears that they're almost.
But you had an image which showed the entire front facade, yeah.
There,
It's
that,
the-
that
it's
one,
the-
actually, you can see it a little.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know
it's
what
that,
image you're looking at, but this is what I was
This
able to
one's
pull up.
below, so.
Oh, yeah, no, that's good. No, that's cool. this one is from Sarah.
We specialize in at these meetings.
right, they're very close together. And particularly if it's going to be that far back. Street.
Right, if you said the meters are on the right side, right? Now, am I not correct that this,
Yeah.
you've got your inverter, Tesla inverter, and AC disconnect on the left side?
You're not wrong. Yeah, that should be down here. On the front,
So that
on the
should,
right-hand side.
all of that stuff should be here.
Correct.
And what is all of that stuff in the packet? That's,
Yeah, so
is it
The
these things on number 7?
the
Page 7?
inverter, exactly, no, that's it.
So this is the basic setup of what would be correct placed next to the meters.
Exactly.
I mean, I think 15 feet off the street in an alley is the best case scenario for something like this.
So these three devices are these three that you see right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Is Elon gonna come and help you with the installation?
Yeah, if you would like him to, I could put in a special request.
I don't think we need him.
He's on Mars.
On the moon or something.
Okay, and you said that it was about, how far from the front?
About 15 feet.
About 15 feet. So roughly someplace here. Okay. And you're also mounting this on a grid, am I correct?
The question is, we're mounting it on a grid, you said?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, yeah, brackets.
Yeah. Exactly. So we have, the racking details on page 3, sheet PB3. And then also,
Yeah, I see the
and
solar mount
also on page
bonding.
9.
The tree is about 5 1/4 inches off the roof plane.
Okay.
Yeah, top to bottom.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
No?
Okay,
I will make a motion to accept the application as submitted.
well, with one modification.
Oh,
The
correct.
location of,
Uh,
do I have a second?
I'll second approval of the relocated,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, John?
Yes.
No, I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Got it.
Appreciate it. Is there anything further you need from us, or are we, what's the next step? from here?
Well,
I
the
think
next,
if we could just get, if you could just send over like a really good shot of the full house from the street. And
Okay.
then that's where I think we can mark up the location.
I'm
That would just
gonna
be
mark up this set.
Okay.
For the building inspector, this is,
Sufficient?
yeah,
Okay, I'll go on then.
Cool.
all right. I'll probably be processing this over this coming weekend, so I'll email you the certificate of appropriateness when I send it over to the building inspector. And then you can deal with him, I guess they need to get a permit from him.
Yeah, yep. Very much appreciated.
Thanks. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Have a good
Happy
night.
holidays.
Have a good night.
Coming up.
Fun. Halloween? Are you psyched for Halloween? Is that, you should walk by my house. It's decorated? It's like over there. Oh, yeah. Did you take part in it?
I've grown to love it.
Okay.
Okay, we have another set of drawings for,
Rose and Kevin, are you also, 12?
Am I also what?
You're also 12 Church Street?
Yes, that's correct. 12 Church Street. Yep.
Great,
For Lauren and Thomas Kerrigan.
yes.
Yes, sir.
Both neighboring.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
oh, Rose is that woman who was from the state or something like that? It was that,
Nope, I'm Rose. I'm the permit specialist from New York State Solar Farm, and Kevin is our consultant that is here for New York State Solar Farm.
okay.
This again, I mean, I feel like the house is up on a little rise of land. And it's a pretty tall house, but I think, again, my question is just where all the mechanics are coming down.
Well, is it as it's shown on PV2?
Yes, that's the way that the system, there's going to be 14 460 watt panels on that one roof face. They sit 5 inches off of that roof. So if they are seen from the street at all, it would be very minimal.
How is, am I correct that this is the street? This is your entrance?
Um,
On the left side of the page.
On PV1, you can see it on the plan.
so you're on PV2, PV1. Correct. Yep. I think if you look closely, I think it's labeled Church Street there.
Okay, so I guess the question I have is, typically there are a whole bunch of conduits which run from the panels to the exterior PV equipment.
Of course.
How is that being routed?
That is going into the attic and then out the soffit and straight down the siding on what would be the left side of the house if you're looking at it from the street. I can share my screen and show you what we have on the site plan if that makes it easier.
Oh, so it's on the opposite side from where the panels are.
Correct. The conduit the wiring will go right behind the panels, so it will be hidden and going into the attic and then out the soffit.
And then run them down to where the existing meters are.
Correct. Yep.
And in your drawing set that you gave us, what do you have a photo of the actual equipment that's going to be mounted?
Let me see here.
Sorry, not the panels, the inverters and all that stuff.
So the inverter, these are micro inverters. So the inverter itself is going to be behind the panel. Each panel has its own micro inverter behind it.
Oh.
And there is a combiner box that is there's going to be 2 boxes next to the electrical meters where the electrical meters are now. One is for the solar disconnect. If ever there's a fire or anything like that, the firefighters can turn off the system. And the other one is for the monitoring box. So there will be 2 boxes about the size of the meter next to the meter that the conduit comes
That's
into.
the box on PV10, the IQ combiner 5.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, cool.
So there's only one roof penetration to bring the conduit into the attic.
Yes,
And
and it's,
how,
I'm sorry.
um, on PV7, there's a section of the solar panel and the racking system, but it says it's not to scale. What's the overall depth from the roof material to the top of the solar? How many-
So the racking system has 5 inches in between the roof deck and the solar panel.
The top of the solar panel. So the full package is 5 inches.
No, the width of the solar panel would add another inch or two. I don't know offhand just how wide the solar panels are, but I wouldn't say they're any more than 2 inches wide or depth.
You're saying now 7 inches off the roof.
Correct.
And actually on PV8, you'll see all the information regarding the panels.
So really, the things that are potentially visible from the street are these two combiners, which are on the north side of the building.
And the tunnel coming down from the
And the conduit
soffit
coming down.
to this equipment.
There's a service panel on the street facing facade. Here, says interior, is that, if that's inside, just to clarify?
Main service panel.
On P1, on the main facade, the street facing facade, it says interior PV equipment, main service panel. Is that inside or is that outside? Just the,
That would be inside
okay.
at where, yeah, where the electrical box is for the customer's electrical box inside.
The other thing too, just about this specific site is that this side of the building where these things are going is actually even though there's not a house next to it, it's even less visible from the street because this is a underground garage that's really tight to the sidewalk. So if you're walking towards Main Street on Church, your pedestrian view is blocked by like this whole structure right here. So even though it looks like it's all an empty lot, it's actually the change in elevation really blocks that side of the house.
And it'll be going where the existing conduit is, right? There's stuff there already that goes.
Yes, there's wire already running down, which is basically the supply line running into the house. It would be parallel with that, about a foot off of it.
Okay, anybody have any other questions?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve as submitted.
Aye.
Aye, aye,
Aye,
done,
great.
you got it.
Great,
Wonderful.
thank you.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. All right. You guys have a great night.
You too.
Take care.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Okay, you too.
Go home and watch the debate.
Sorry.
Stay here if you want.
Okay, any public comment?
Not here, so, the thing that we were talking about via email of the, scheduling of a meeting to talk about, to approve the pile of minutes that we have. What is everyone's availability? And then also to talk about some of these things that Lauren has addressed
Yeah. those are-
via email, which I feel like are, I think it's a good idea, particularly when it comes to things like deadlines and meeting days and meeting times and all of those things. It will take a little while to implement. So I think discussing all of it and getting it and endeavoring to have it at the beginning of the year is like pretty reasonable. Yeah, well, it is soon, it's soon if we're only meeting, once a month and plus this meeting, so, one thing that I do think, so we used to meet twice a month routinely, and we also used to meet on Wednesdays, which seems insignificant, but the difference between meeting on Tuesday and meeting on Wednesday is that we would have like 2 days to get everything ready for a meeting instead of like a day. So, yeah, so I think just to have everyone leave with this thought in their head, and we can discuss it more later, but I would advocate for having an earlier deadline. But I don't think it could be, I think the second part of that would be moving our monthly meeting to later in the month. Because like, so if
And week or?
later in the month, so that like, if we were gonna say that to be on the October agenda, say, you would have to have all of your materials in by like October 1st.
Okay.
Then our meeting would be the, whatever, second Tuesday or third Tuesday or something. So I think that's probably one way to look at it. I mean, right now, technically, our deadline is the Friday before the meeting, but that still doesn't really give us very much time. Yeah, because it's the weekend. And I think that there's also some applications which we probably could view with less advance notice, like solar panels and signs and fences. And then there are other things where we should demand a little bit more information from the applicants, like reconstructing the facade of a street. Commercial building. So I think that is my immediate takeaway would be like, maybe we should set an earlier deadline and a firmer deadline, but I think it should be early enough that it's within the month where you're planning on meeting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like now, I feel like it's like today, it's October 1st and we're having our October meeting because it's the first Tuesday, so it's like, whereas if we met later, if we met on the second or third Tuesday of each month and had a hard deadline of 2 Fridays before, I think psychologically, it would feel like it was all happening in the same month and not, you have to be like done in September. Yeah, like done in September to talk about it in October. Right.
I think it's fair.
And then I think it would just be a matter of like looking at the schedule for who already has the room booked on what days. Cause I think ZBA is like, they're on a Tuesday and tree committee shows up occasionally. Are they on Tuesday still?
They're on, I want to say the 4th Tuesday of October, the 2nd and 4th, and then Wednesday, the 4th of Justice.
Yeah.
Oh, Wednesday.
So I don't think we're getting much of that. Yes,
Well, then, are we talking about changing the day of the monthly meeting? Is that what you're describing?
what I'm suggesting is that we consider changing sticking with Tuesdays, but not the first Tuesday of the month, and maybe
Okay, so
I
we can
Tuesday
talk
later.
about changing the day of the meeting.
potentially.
Well, do we, all right, let me ask the other board members, anybody have a problem with changing the day of the meeting? I find, the first Tuesday of the month awkward at times.
Yeah.
And so I would I have no problem with changing the meeting to at least the second Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, I think the second or third would be great, depending on the other meetings, and it would allow applicants to understand they have to get their material in by the first Tuesday of the month, which will make these meetings run a lot smoother.
Sure.
I
Okay, so,
But it sounds like the Tuesday that would actually be available is the third Tuesday of the month, is currently when there's not another meeting scheduled.
believe so,
Okay.
but I just did the calendar,
Alright.
like,
Well-
timing.
Well, this would be potentially not until January. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, it depends.
why is it not until January?
Well, we could implement it sooner. I was just thinking we might, I don't know, do you think the trustees need to approve it? Probably not.
Well-
If we're not taking someone else's time.
Right, and the thing is that, as long as we give notice to, public notice, then, I think that we should do it. And, we can say that we're trying it ahead of the next year, just to work to see if the third Tuesday is the best day of the month.
I think it'll be important to get messaging out so people really understand when the materials are due on the website and elsewhere, because that, even in the local paper, because that will be the biggest hurdle.
Right.
People are used to just sort of dropping it in at the last minute and everything's no big deal.
So if we are able to do the third Tuesday of the month,
Let us phrase it a little bit more positively and say, we're going to try and do it, Tuesday, the third Tuesday of the month.
yeah, so if we are able to do that, is it more logical that materials are due on the first of the month, every month, regardless of what day it is? Or is it like a 2 Fridays before thing?
Well, I think that, the reason that we had it so close and we took applications, right up to the day of the meeting is because we wanted to encourage people to actually go through the process.
Right.
And so, that way we were more accommodating. Now what we can do if we want to, see, the problem is that, if we try and keep it to one day, one meeting a month, it's a month between, somebody doesn't make that the meeting, has to wait a whole month, he or she have to wait the whole month to the next meeting.
Right. Which
So-
we were stricter about our deadlines when we met twice a month.
Right.
And now that we only meet once a month, I am much more relaxed with it.
How about if we do it the Wednesday before the meeting?
The Wednesday before the meeting.
So that gives us like 3-4 weekdays. to- One Friday. Go over the trip.
And
I would say the Monday before because-
the Monday,
the Monday,
not
the
not
Monday
before, not before the meeting, but
8 days before the meeting. Yeah.
Clarity.
Because if the goal is that we actually want to get the application and somebody then has to review the application to contact the applicant to let them know what might be missing from it,
That's the, yes,
then we want to make sure that we have time for one of our volunteers to actually review it and then also have time to have the applicant act on whatever it is we're asking them to prepare.
I think.
Especially if it's-
Maybe 2 weeks.
I think
So that's why I'm
there's a big
saying,
phase,
and the reason
yeah.
why I'm saying if we, instead of saying 2 weeks before the meeting, we pinned it to the first of the month, is it will just be more, I think that's something that's easier for people to remember.
I love that. I think it's a huge benefit to the applicant to not come in here and then learn that they don't have all their materials, then have to come back the next month and then learn that it's not quite right. For us to do the work in advance actually saves us time and them time.
And every single person who's sitting here.
And it's much more enjoyable, right? It's like it'll.
And it also lets us know by the first of the month whether we even need to have our monthly meeting,
whether or not what.
whether we would need to even hold a meeting, because if we have no applications received by then, well, I guess
Or if you
not
have
if we're gonna be,
15,
not
then
if we're gonna
you
be,
should be-
have
Yeah.
a different deadline for science events, but.
All right. So the deadline would be the, Monday of the week prior to our meeting.
No,
No,
I
the
think it
deadline
should
would
be
be
the
the
deadline
first
should be
of
the
the
first of the month.
November
So why don't
1st,
I
December
lay out when these potential date meetings would be and when the deadlines would be, and we can kind of look at it graphically.
Okay. Because, the thing is that, I still believe that we should try and accommodate, people who may not necessarily be very familiar with the process, and which sounds like most of the people that we deal with. And I think that if we have a whole week, we should be able to sort through, because realistically, we shouldn't be getting that many big projects. I mean, I can't think of any large project which we'll be reviewing. I mean, it's all sort of minor changes at this point. So,
Just thinking back to the last two meetings, we had the garage that burned down, that they put up, they were in the process of building a new house, and we had the flower shop, 162 Main, and there are a few, the River House, there are a few, for me, large projects, where I feel like we and the applicant would have benefited from a review in advance, that we could have said, you know, architectural elevations will be required and materials will be required and a door spec will be required. And even like, I don't know how much we can get into, we can't, I guess, get into styles, et cetera, but some, whatever guidance we can give while still being appropriate to that level of just checking for the,
Well, even with the
Completely.
solar panel, even with this, the first solar application I reviewed didn't have a photo of the front of the house, which like,
yeah, the
I think
basics.
is something that if I had gotten this.
okay, so here's the other problems that we're gonna be dealing with. Our review is supposed to be done in a public venue. Now, if we have somebody looking for it, the most that they can say is that you don't have enough information, you don't have this document, you don't.
That's what it,
So we have to be very careful
Right.
so that we're not reviewing the application, because then it would have been reviewed in advance.
right.
Right.
So for the solar panels, it could be, you know, elevation photos, indicate where the conduit is, indicate where the equipment is, make sure the height of the solar panel is included, blah, blah, you know.
Okay, but I guess, see, for example, my question would be is that we don't necessarily have to have that in hand. They can bring it to us at the meeting, as long as they know exactly what they have to. So, okay.
Yeah, I think
still
this is like this is like several process things that we should like flesh out more explicitly for people, like what we expect in an application, when the due date is, when the deadline is to be put on the agenda, and what specific things for specific applications do we want to know, like whether it's about windows or whether it's about solar panels or whether it's about whatever. And I think that is, there are multiple elements that we need to kind of analyze and improve upon.
So when I was doing preservation consulting in New York, anytime we got a person who had a project, the first thing we would do is say, what are you doing? And then and they would make the application, and then we'd make a list of the information that they needed. And that's the very first thing that we did, so that they could gather all of that information and submit it with their application. And that doesn't mean we swayed them in their design. It just means like, this is the information that Landmarks will need. So that was the jurisdiction. The Landmarks will need in order to fully understand your application and make a judgment instead of coming back many weeks. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it saves time. It's really like
Okay.
it really helps everybody.
Yeah, I mean, and the question really is that how far in advance do we really need the application? Because the deadlines that we're setting, for example, if we had that solar application and, the photograph of the front facade was considered something critical, basically they'd have to come back next month. So,
Well, I mean, that's just like an ease of review. I mean, like if I had looked at this
I'm
prior
I'm
to
using
this
it.
morning, I would have just pulled the picture off of Google and.
I know, I'm using it as an example. What I'm saying is that I think that, what I understand you're proposing is that at the start of the month, the application has to be submitted. In which case, we now, and the meeting is going to be on the third Tuesday. So, we've got something like, 2 weeks to look at this and provide responses?
I think I hear what you're saying, and I wonder, I don't think we can make it muddy, we can't confuse people more, but there is sort of a scale of how quickly it takes to prepare material depending on what the project is. So if it's a solar panel array, I mean, that could be, give it to us 1 week before and we'll let you know if you need to snap a photo or put a big X where the conduit is. And so I don't know if we can decide if there's a few applications that we could make exception to. But maybe if we set it as the first of the month and someone, reaches out to Abby and says, oh my gosh, I have these solar panels, I want to put them up in like 4 weeks. She can then say, you know what, solar panels are pretty simple. And so let's see if an exception will be made in this instance.
Which is something that we already do with our extremely limited deadline that we already have, is telling people, I mean, I often will tell people that they can give it to us, that they can work on it over the weekend and give it to them Monday morning. For that very reason, if it's sign or if it's something less critical to, I mean, I know everything's permanent in its own way and nothing is permanent in its own way, but there are some things which have a greater impact on our community resources.
Agreed. And the thing is, for more complicated projects, typically what we have done in the past, and I think that we should continue that, is encourage workshops.
I know, I think we should too, but that seems to have fallen off. People are coming to us with like
Well, because people don't know what they need.
half-baked
People have no
applications.
idea what they need when they
Well,
come to
but
these meetings.
I-
And then they
I
send
know,
us
but-
half sketch,
But
and then we
typically,
have to draw it out of them. Like,
but
it's hard.
typically workshops is where that sort of exchange occurs.
No, I agree. I'm saying I think that fewer people are requesting workshops in advance of submitting an application. And perhaps it's because they don't know they can, or perhaps it is because we are dealing with fewer repeat applicants than we had in previous years. And maybe people who are just less familiar with the process. But I think it has fallen off a bit, and maybe part of that is because we no longer refer to our second meeting as our workshop meeting, so it's out of people's mind, but I don't know, I'm sure it's several reasons. But there have been some projects that we have looked at in the past 6 months or a year that came as sort of complete applications in the mind of the applicant that really should have been reviewed earlier in their,
Like which ones?
like, the building next door, which we were able to approve relatively quickly, but I mean, that was a pretty significant renovation of a building.
Yeah, and the same guy
The
is.
same guy who did it up the street.
Right.
By the way, have you got anything from him?
The digital, I believe it should be uploaded.
Yeah, we received a drawing from him that was circulated.
Is it not on the website? You emailed it. I did? Yeah.
It's on the website.
Well, I didn't download I didn't look at what's on the website. I just saw that there is something on the website, so maybe.
I mean,
For building of.
On the corner, yeah.
is there a version where there's just a little article in the Current? Can we convince them to like write about a few of the recent projects and like what the application process is, and they can just share with the village these deadlines and that they're workshops and how cool the workshops are and,
Well,
Isn't it great?
I think that's how, because there's a communication gap.
Yes, it says new. I want to say we have old and we have new. Drawings new,
well, because you have old and then you have.
Yeah,
new
they're
old.
There are actually
And then-
like 4 iterations,
Yeah, it's
so.
confusing because they're all very similar.
I don't even know which one.
Okay, because I,
162 Main, right?
I,
Just for.
when
Okay,
I
sorry.
processed the other, C of As, he was supposed to send me
Yes.
updated
I
drawings.
copied you on that, I think.
It's here and Todd said thank you, so let me just forward it now to you all.
That might be the old.
Oh.
I want to say,
So
but I.
December 23rd at 2:48.
Sorry,
then
this is so like.
let me see, it was about getting the profile down.
So, okay, what we had originally discussed doing was scheduling a meeting to review a big pile of minutes and also talk about these ideas.
Right.
So could we propose, meeting on, what is everyone's availability on the 22nd, which is in 3 weeks from now? It is a Tuesday.
We had a long meeting.
Well, we could potentially meet, I mean, we could meet it is, we are going to post it as a public meeting, obviously, because we'll be taking action on minutes. But yeah, we're probably gonna be meeting in the little room and we're probably going to be talking amongst ourselves. The 22nd, you said is the ZBA hearing, is that right? So they're gonna be in here anyway.
I do ZBA, so,
Right. Well, you don't have to be at this meeting, but.
okay. That's fine.
And if we
You're
can
welcome.
review the.
You're welcome. You did that.
But we do have to have minutes,
Yeah.
We do have to have minutes.
yes,
We have to have minutes of the meeting where we're approving minutes.
yes.
Okay, well, can the minutes say we discussed, well,
Yes, so we discussed, the minutes from so-and-so.
all right, then I think we can handle that. We'll make Todd do it.
I think for efficiency, we have them prior to minutes, prior to the meeting, and we're able to read them and just note them up, then
Right.
we can really move quickly,
Right.
unless we want it
So are we talking about the 22nd?
The 22nd.
at 7:30.
I think 7:30 is probably the earliest that I could meet unless, well, I can't really join every day, actually. So can we say the 20th?
Yep.
The 22nd at, so this is also gonna be pending Todd's availability as well. Dang. What about the following week, the 29th? Is everyone available that day as well? You can't do the 29th, okay. Well, let's just hope that the 22nd. And I will circulate an email with, just to confirm that Todd's available. You know what? I just text him now.
Yeah, it's like, in flight.
He said he was leaving tomorrow morning.
As for the guidelines, is there some sort of reference that maybe I can compile or, just because I'm starting to notice that there seems to be like a lot of user error. So on the application, it tells you exactly what you need.
Mm-hmm.
And I also send an email telling you exactly what you need, just in case you decide to skip over the application, which I tend to do. And, this kind of goes back to the problem that you guys were discussing about, coming to the meeting, realizing that there is some sort of, missing information and then having to come back considering it's a monthly meeting. So is there some kind of guideline that I can maybe compile and post on the website saying if this is in reference to solar panels, 1, 2, 3, and possibly 4, and then so on and so forth?
That's a great idea.
Don't we have that already?
We do, but our whole application, I think, deserves a thorough review of fresh eyes. As the person who wrote the application originally, who has old eyes, I think it would be helpful for us to consider that to be a improvable document.
So
Well,
should
it
that
should
be on?
be a living document.
It should be a living document, but it also should be a much more user. It is, I think the checklist could be edited to be tighter and zippier, where people might
Should
read
we try to do that on the 22nd? And does it make sense for Abby to be at the meeting then? I know, but then do we need to change?
Oh, change the.
Well,
If it's
it.
that
No, I
day?
mean, we wrote the application ourselves, so if we want to talk about
I
I mean, we'll
Yeah,
certainly be
feedback,
open
yeah.
to your input on it, but.
I'm not really proposing it like an alteration. I'm just maybe a reference to a guideline portion on the website. Please see these guidelines if they pertain to so-and-so project. That way, let's say you need additional time to alter the application. In the meantime, we do have a temporary solution that is sufficient for the applicant.
Well, there are instructions on how to file an application. It was made part of the design guidelines.
Yes, I did see that. I did not read it, but I saw it.
Well, but I mean, if you read it, it's pretty thorough. I mean, you know, as a living document, it can always be updated.
What does that mean, Rebecca? I've never heard of it.
It's,
Like never done, like you're always editing and improving.
right.
Sounds awful.
It'll be better and better.
Oh. Okay, so yeah, if that references everything that the Historic District Review Board covers, then it really shouldn't be an issue.
Well, as someone who is sort of, hasn't been jaded by the process already, it'll give you an idea of, you know, you can give us your reaction to it based on what you've seen coming through the front door, and as opposed to what the instructions say they're supposed to have.
I think moving the meeting is actually a really good idea because there tend to be, it seems like last minute projects at the end of the month. This is like the second time. So the next meeting that we have, it's gonna be like an addition or something. So what I'm gonna say is, either 47 Parrot or 25 Fair with Beth Siegler. I
Okay,
wanna say that's 25 Fair Street.
That's 25 there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 47 is right outside. I could be wrong, but.
Third project I know.
47.
Yes,
You
brought it.
I brought it.
Oh my gosh, silly me.
I didn't realize it was in the district.
No, that's okay.
Wow.
Wait, which
It's
building?
Andrew, Kepler, at Hudson Highlands Home is doing a renovation on 25 Fair, which is a flag lot that sits on the river. It's
Yeah,
a modern building and he's proposing a garage in addition, and she's the architect of record.
oh, is it like the one that, did it just sell a couple years ago, has a little chicken coop in the front?
No, you can't even see it. That I think sits in front of it.
Oh, okay,
So you just see a long driveway with really tall trees, and
Right.
then there's like a carport that you see in the house to the right. So the anyway, you'll see the application, but I have my own practice, and then sometimes I do just drafting. And I was doing some drafting for that project, and then I realized that it's in the district, so I'll be recused. So,
I wonder whether any of it's visible from a public right of way, if it is a Hartford Street,
yeah, you'll see. I mean, I don't know if it's such a,
although the Hudson River is considered a public right of way.
so you probably see it.
I have a,
Todd says yes, he can do it.
a village survey that was done in, I forget exactly when, but it lists all of the properties, and it was actually done with the idea of creating this database. I had to go through 2 different computers to find it, so let me dig it out and I'll email it to you.
Okay.
Right.
Or you can put it on like Drive, we all have access to Google Drive. Yeah, if you wanna put it on the Google Drive. If it's like.
It's not that big. I mean, this was
Is this
essentially,
the Larson Fisher thing? That's already on the Google Drive, I think. But buried somewhere.
yeah, well, that just said, I don't know where it is. I know I have my copy of it.
What is it? File for some copy.
We had a grant that we got, and we hired a consultant to do a survey. And they put it in an Excel format.
I've seen it, but I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
Does it have like photographs then?
No, they don't have photographs, but we do,
Not very.
but we have photographs of all of the buildings. Because we were gonna take the photographs and merge it with this Excel spreadsheet. So we have a lot of information, it just
We do have a lot of information.
Yeah.
It just needs a place to live.
needs to be organized.
Which is a black hole, but it's all so close to being in the light. It's just,
Well, see,
More of a gray
you know,
hole.
as it,
So-
when it comes together, there'll be a nuclear reaction and it'll start.
And everyone will get a new fence.
I mean, that's awesome if that already exists. And I don't know if you guys looked at the thing I sent, because it has a lot of information, which obviously we won't get all of that information, but like maybe there's an enthusiastic homeowner that has that information or something. So I think it makes sense to take this table that I created and plug in all of the information
Yeah.
for each property and have that available to all of us on the Google Drive. So that anytime we have a meeting, we're like, look, 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 and then we have it and we save a lot of time.
Okay, so, but somebody needs to be the Google Drive custodian.
You look at me.
If you have this database, I think that that should. It used to be that it was where the applications were
During the pandemic.
posted. But we don't need to do that anymore.
So
So,
now we put them onto, just directly onto our website.
yeah. So I think that, we can probably strip everything else off of it. And you can take it over as mistress of the Google Drive.
How many properties are in this historic? No, I'm serious. Like, can we split this
Do
up
I-
a little bit? Like, what? I don't wanna,
The one who's still paying for the Google Drive?
$1.99 a month?
Yeah. One,
You wanna ask that, Bill, to-
$1.94.
$1, $1.94.
Oh my God.
Bust our budget.
There's a lot of stuff that we can take off, but maybe we can have hdrb@gmail.com address that we build a new drive off of that's more portable, even though technically we're not supposed to be using Google.
Can this be, so I know we have a laser fiche from the building department. I know that there is, at least when I go, it's all organized by tax map, which really annoys me, but there is, you click on it, there's building, and there is a tab that says historic sometime. Can this all be moved to that maybe?
I mean, if that's
That
I think
way-
it could be, as long as that's something that people have easy access to.
right, and if I wanted to look up something, would I come in and?
I'm not sure. I think I would have to contact the county clerk for that, because that's how I got it. And
Right.
I'm kind of, me and the clerk and the mayor are
That's the government, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there was a time when Mary Sari was working with the county. And she was sort of processing or they were uploading files.
talked about this also. We don't know where those things are.
Oh, that's the other drive?
Well, and we don't know where it is. I mean, obviously the county has it somewhere. And, it's right next, it's in a warehouse in Philadelphia, right next to the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, probably.
Is that a joke?
Yes.
Very contemporary reference. Can I make
Back to our
a motion to
admin meeting. I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
So the 22nd.
All right, so
So tell them from-
22nd and unless noted otherwise.
Yeah, so, and we will have to put a post